Okay, in this episode, we're going to have a little fun. So, I was asked a little bit more on harmonic content. So, here's what we're going to do, and it's going to be a little crazy, and I'll show you some of it as we go. So, there's a little watt meter set up and a system set up, so voltage and currents coming into the empath system, which I've got upside down here. I haven't plugged the laptop in. It's connected along with all this other stuff into a single source here, which is all set up. I think, let's make sure it's on. So that's on, powered up, and ready to trip if necessary. So we're going to be able to start a regular light bulb, an LED light bulb. We're going to start a drive. We're going to start a monitoring system, and we're going to plug in a laptop along with the empath system. All of this is going to be plugged in so we can see what happens to our various waveforms. So you're going to watch that live. I may have to set the gains depending on how things are going. So first thing I'm going to do is plug in the laptop. Let's see what that looks like. So I have to hit this and then it'll do its magic. Or not. Let's try it again. There we go. Now it's going to set everything so it comes on the screen so you can see what the laptop and everything connected to it looks like as we're actually watching this. So it's our actual values. So now this is peak. So as you can see, it's pretty funky, and we are looking at 60 watts. Okay, so that's pretty heavy duty at 120 volts. Now let's see what happens when I switch on an LED light. Okay, and you can see the current's gone up. It's pretty rectangular. Voltage is staying relatively nice. So let's go ahead and get this in. We are up to 99 watts. Sorry if it's whipping around a little bit there. Let's have a little fun. And we're pulling RMS 0.8 amps so far. Okay, so there's our little system now. Now what happens if I unplug the laptop? Let's see what, this is what, that's the incandescent bulb. Okay, so that's incandescent. So it adds on to that. Now let's do the LED. Okay, and let's see what happens now. You see that notch in there. Actually, let's see what an LED looks like overall. There's a reason for that. Okay, so F8. It's getting close. Now this is pure. I don't have it at any multipliers or anything else. So this is what an LED bulb looks like. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll turn on the incandescent again. So now that has done this, so we'll go ahead and focus it. Now the incandescent obviously is now pulling more. So we are at 46. Now let's shut off that incandescent, and that gives us 40, 15, 7, 4 watts exactly. Okay, so now we add this. That should give us 40, 44 watts, roughly 46 watts. Okay, so the current harmonics are sitting on there, and our 40 watt bulb and our 4 watt bulb are producing what we now see here. So that little tail that's sticking up, that's the LED. Now we'll add in our laptop, and let's go ahead and take that. And that's adjusted us to 103.8. Okay, so as you can see, we now have all these loads in there, and you can see the harmonic content. We're going to run a harmonic analysis when we're done. So now let's go ahead and add in a monitoring system we have on the wall. And that's going to start up another little mini PC. And that is going to bring us up shortly, I should think. There we go. You can hear everything starting up now, 111 watts. You can see the waveform has changed again. This is an ECM SE1 along with a PC and a monitoring system over there. Oh, no, I'm sorry, no ECM SE1, just the monitoring system and everything else. So more electronic loads. We are now at 114.6 watts. Okay, so now let's really have some fun with this. So this is what happens as you start adding stuff onto your system. You notice that the voltage is smoothing out a little bit. That is a function. So that is harmonic content in voltage. So now let's go ahead, and it's going to get noisy in here because we are going to start this guy. Now, on we go with that. Okay, so the power supply is giving me 151.8. Okay, my waveform is now changed even more, and we're going to take this up to 50 watts. I'm sorry, 50 hertz, and watch this thing load up. Now, hopefully I don't trip anything, but this should only draw about one or 2 amps. So we are now up at 250 watts. And as you can see, there's stuff going on in the background here. So let's go ahead and we'll F8 it. So as I am in a system and I'm adding more and more nonlinear loads, I get really cool stuff happening with my power supply. So now as you can see, I have all those things sitting in there and I end up with this mishmash. Okay. So let's go ahead and collect the data, and we will see. I'm going to move this guy down, I think, if I can. And we will see what this looks like harmonic-wise. Okay, so this is typical. If I go into a system and I have a bunch of AC loads, nonlinear loads in my system, here's what it looks like. This, by the way, I am reading neutral. And we'll see what a power analyzer versus my little standard little, this is like a $30 watt meter. Let's see how different they are. Am I expecting it to be different? Don't know. Yeah, I kind of am a little bit. But let's see, I should get about 0.25 on there. I've got 246, 247. It's bouncing back and forth a little bit because of that wave shape. Okay, now I've got all this stuff running in the background. Who knows? I'm probably way out of form with the speech. I'm probably lagging already. Okay, so it says harmonic distortion bad. Let's take a look and see what our harmonic distortion looks like. Voltage, not too bad. We're going to see what that actually looks like. And there's my harmonics. There's all my tripling, 5th and 7th harmonics. Oh my gosh, 5th and 7th, that's not supposed to exist in a single phase system. Well, it does. So 5th, 7th, and then multiples of that as I go down. So this results in 77% total harmonic distortion and current. And I am pulling slightly higher than I'm measuring over there. This should be showing me out a couple of digits. It is showing higher than, so it's if it rounded up to 0.3, that means it's more than 0.25, and I'm measuring 0.243 on there. So that is some of that extra energy lost in the harmonic content. So let's go back, and we're going to reduce some of this stuff. We're going to kind of go a little strange here. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so there's all our stuff, like we talked about. There's our waveform. Now let's go ahead and we are going to turn off our monitor. Which is telling me about 1 point whatever amps. So there it goes, that is off. And what's happened to our waveform? Okay, everything's reduced a little bit, right? So next step, let's turn off our incandescent lamp. Okay, our wattage is reduced more. Now I've got an LED and an AC drive that's actually fed from a single phase source that steps it up to 230 volts. So all that harmonic is actually primarily from a VFD, and let's see how much. Turn off the LED, and there we go. This is a single phase source coming, feeding a VFD and putting out 230 volts. So let's get a closer look at that. Oh, and the laptop. Okay, so there we are. That's a switching system. And it looks awful similar to what we have with the LED. This is what we're putting back into our systems. This is where we're putting in current, and in this case, this is directly what type of current we're putting into neutral. We're at 190 watts now. So let's unplug the laptop and see how it changes. Not by much, because my heaviest load, which is the VFD, is carrying everything at this point. So this is going to be a real short one, folks. I was asked for a quick demonstration. I'm going to do a second part here so I can split it off. It's going to be solely here, let's slow this down, see what happens as the load drops. Yeah, you can see the peaks are dropping. This next one is solely going to be LED and the incandescent, because people have requested that separately, because we've noticed in the field, and you noticed here, that the current, the watts that are being pulled, because this is a calibrated system and that's a calibrated system, the watts off a standard meter, because that's not picking up my harmonic as much, and this are a little bit different. So we're running into this in the field as well. That's because that current and that load is sitting primarily on, what's still on? Oh, I've got to turn off the power supply. So there goes the power supply. We should be near zero, which we are. Okay, so let's stop for a sec. And just wanted to say again, the demonstration was for different power supplies. So now I'm going to do waveforms strictly of the LED and the incandescent. So let's go ahead and we'll start with the incandescent. Did I hit the LED again? Incandescent, F8. Oh, that's because the scale is wrong. There'll be a little notchy there. Like I said, very, very, very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to do something. I am going to cheat a little bit, and we're going to move this to the 10 time scale so we can get a look at what the waveform looks like on an LED. Now here it's saying it's pulling 4 watts. So I am going to download this real quick. And then as soon as we do this, I'm going to run it one more time. I'm going to include the incandescent, and I'll run this again to show you what the harmonic content looks like. It was very interesting as the other systems, because I did have an inverter on that power supply, also showed a high 5th and 7th in current. Now notice at this point in time, I have a no filter in the system. And this is what we're dealing with. This, all that harmonic content, that odd waveform that I'm seeing in current, is feeding back to things like the transformer. It's affecting other components in the system. And when I heavily load a system with high harmonics, I will also start to see voltage distorting dramatically. And that's not a good thing. Okay, let's see what happens. And if I'm lagging, sorry folks, that's just the way it is. We know that, especially the setup I have right here. I have a different setup that doesn't lag as much. Okay, apparently it's hung up. So we're going to hit escape to stop. There we go. And see, we're seeing the harmonic content. Now, with nothing but just that on there, just that LED light, I'll look at my harmonic content. Got a little bit of 2, I got 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, and 13th, which means I have my pro and counter rotating forces sitting there as well. Was that supposed to happen? Not if I read the standards, it isn't. But it is. And we find this in the field all the time. And what will often happen is people will write it off. So let's go ahead. There is our notching. Now this is going to be much higher than normal because I have it set on 10 time current. And this is what happens when I add the other. And you can see that notch is still there. It's riding on top of everything. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. And I didn't take a look at the current the last time. The watts, I mean, because it's going to be artificially higher. But let's see what the harmonic content looks like. I have it set up as if I had 10 bulbs, an LED, and 10 bulbs, incandescent, by the way, not fluorescent. Fluorescent looks almost as good as the LED. And this is one of the reasons why we actually tend to use a little more energy than we think. So we've run into cases where we've gone in and low quality LEDs have been put in place in facilities, and they'll say our energy bill actually went up. Well, yeah, it's because of all the harmonic content in the system. You have to filter it out. And here we go. So let's take a quick look at this, and then we will be done for today. A nice short 20-minute presentation. So here we go. See, much smaller because I have a higher load on it. So it tends to disappear into the system. But if I do a whole facility and I have relatively light loads, guess what happens? Even if I have a larger facility and I change all my lighting, which might be 10% of my total load, basically like this, I will end up with these harmonics sitting, in particular on single phase systems, sitting on my neutral. And with that, thank you very much, and we will talk next week a little bit more about the application of electrical signature analysis. Well, actually, I've got a surprise for you next week. We'll talk about it then. But one of the things I want to point out is sometimes thinking outside the box is actually thinking inside the box. Have a great day. Thank you very much.